The riches of divine grace, part 2. Fourth, you have received a bona fide relationship to God through propitiation. The final gospel brings to us many more wonderful things that have ever been presented in the scriptures before. While the Old Testament offered great blessings through the offering of blood sacrifices, none can compare with the offerings of grace. Propitiation means that God has been rendered free to deal with sinners through the death of Christ on the cross. Calvary solved the problem of how a just and loving God could save sinners. The truth is, all that comes under God's responsibility has been perfectly worked out through Christ's death. Fifth, you are forgiven of all trespasses and sins. Many times the scriptures say all sin is forgiven the sinner. That means all sins, past, present, and future, are forgiven. Unless all sin is abolished, there would be no way that a Christian could have abiding peace with God, nor could he ever be justified forever. To know this, a believer should live in Romans chapter 8 until our mind is perfectly renewed on this subject. This chapter begins with no condemnation and ends with no separation. A point of distinction should be made between the believer's judicial standing before God, which is perfect in the matter of forgiving sins and is immutable, and his daily walk where often forgiveness is needed. 6. You have perfect union with Christ. You have been joined to Christ not only in his life but also in his death. This union is the ultimate basis of everything God does to and for humanity. A study of Romans chapter 6 will give you an answer as to what your relationship is to the Christ who is in you. In this chapter, there are at least four knowings that should be carefully studied. Romans chapter 6 delivers the sinner from all sin and brings death to our old man, our old Adamic nature. 7. You are free from the law. Religion has so confused the issue of humans keeping the law that most believers are never allowed to enter into the grace of God. There are innumerable scriptures that denotes this. Among them are John chapter 1 verse 17, Acts chapter 15 verse 24, Romans chapter 6 verse 14, chapter 7 verse 2 to 6, 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 6 to 13, Galatians chapter 5 verse 18. The rebirth child of God will stand forever perfect in the work Christ has done for us and in us, which has made us fully acceptable to our Father. To apply any work of religion or any self effort to please God would be and is an affront to God's grace. This is where religion's greatest lie exists. You can do nothing within yourself to please God, since God birthed Christ in you. Now he depends upon Christ and Christ alone. Freedom from the law is a blessing experienced by many of those who have not entered into the grace of God. Notice that there is a difference between accepting the grace message and entering into fullness. To enter the fullness of grace, starting place is a revelation that Christ is the life of the believer. To God be the glory. God bless you.